All right. Good morning and welcome to 5 Minutes or More with Pastor. It is, because I don't have my calendar anymore, it is Tuesday, October 13th. I believe that is correct. And weather report is overcast, rainy, and really windy. I opened the blinds this morning to our house and looked outside the trees across the street in our neighbor, and they were like pushing and bending over. I was like, what in the world? I did not know that. My kids were like, "Dad, is there a windstorm last night?" Because listen, when I go to sleep, I sleep. I don't hear a whole lot, but I guess it's been pretty windy throughout the night, and so yeah, so um, maybe don't do your favorite hairstyle today. That may not work out here in this. I don't know how ladies do that. That's why I wear a hat a lot. I don't know. I don't know. Ladies, tell me: are windy days the day to wear? Excuse me, the day to wear your hair up? I'm guessing that would be so because then if it's down, then the wind blows it all over the place. I don't know. So you tell me. Anyway, I want to share something really quickly with you from Psalm 141 and verse 3. It's humorous, but it's also important. And I think most of us will agree with that here when we hear it. Psalm 141 and verse 3 says this. It says, "Set a watch, O Lord, before my mouth. Keep the door of my lips." In the book of Proverbs chapter 18, verse 21, it says, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue." They say that a person in a single year says enough words to fill a 500-page, single spaced book, which means in our lifetime, we have over 3,000 volumes of 500-page, single page or single spaced books about the words that we say. When we talk that much, and some of us, myself included, probably talk even more than that, but when we talk that much, there's no doubt that we're going to say things that we regret, say things that maybe we wish we hadn't said or didn't say. And this is what David is saying. David is praying and saying, "Lord, help me, Lord. Put a watch, oh Lord, before my mouth. Keep the doors of my lips." He's saying, "Lord, help me not to say something I'm going to regret later." Again, how many of you ever said things that you regretted later? You just beat yourself up over and go, "You know what? I wish I wouldn't have said that." And now you have to apologize, and maybe you hurt somebody deeply and genuinely, and you got to go take care of that. David says, "God, put a guard over my mouth." And can I tell you something? I think that's a wise decision and a wise prayer for every believer to pray, to make that a part of your prayer time. Lord, today help me to say things I'm not going to regret. I don't want to say the things that I'm going to regret saying. That there's a pastor, or there's a story told about a pastor who was riding his bike through the neighborhood, and he saw a little boy out in his yard, and the little boy was standing next to a lawnmower, and the lawnmower had a for sale sign on it. The pastor was looking for a lawnmower, and he walked over to the boy and said, "How much money do you want for your lawnmower?" And the little boy said, "You know what? I just want to make enough money to be able to buy my own bike." And the pastor sat there for a little while. Again, the pastor was riding his bike, and he looked at the boy and he said, "Well, would you be willing to trade your lawnmower for my bike? You get the bike, I get the lawnmower. We both get what we want. We're good to go." And the little boy said, "Well, let me take it for a spin first and see if it works and if this fits me and all those kinds of things." So yes, the pastor said, "No problem, go ahead and take it." And so the little boy got on the bike and he rode it around the neighborhood a little bit, came back and he said, "Pastor, you've got yourself a deal." And so they made the trade. The little boy took the bike, and the pastor got the lawnmower. And just to kind of check out the lawnmower, he started pulling the string to crank it, and he pulled and he pulled and he pulled, and he couldn't get the lawnmower to crank. And he took it back to the little boy and he said, "Hey son, excuse me." He said, "I can't get this thing to crank. I've pulled and pulled and pulled and pulled on this string." And he says, the little boy looked at him and says, "That's because you have to cuss to get it to start." And the pastor looked at him and said, "I can't do that." He said, "I've been saved for a long time and I pastor a church right now. And, I can't do that. I can't, sit in my yard and cuss and cuss and cuss to try to get this lawnmower to start." And the pastor said, I honestly, I've even forgotten how to cuss." That's what the pastor said to the little boy. The little boy looked back at him and said, "Well, you just keep pulling on that string long enough and you'll remember." And and so I remember reading that and laughing about that. But I think sometimes we're all in that situation where life frustrates us. People frustrate us. Sin is a reality, and we get really, really frustrated and then say things that we really regret. Um, so I'm going to make it a part of my prayer this morning, and I encourage you to make it a part of your prayer as well. What David said in Psalm 141 and verse 3: Set a watch, O Lord, before my mouth, keep the doors of my lips. And I think that we'll be better off for it, and we'll be very thankful for when the Holy Spirit reminds our hearts and minds before maybe we go and say something. We just, I want to hold on to that. Don't let that go out because one day you might regret it. And so I hope you have a great day, Tuesday, and we'll talk to you later.